The mobilization of Russian men into the armed forces has been going on for over a year now, since September 21st, 2022. The mobilization has been the most important event in Russia. It's a make it or break it type of event. Without the mobilization, Russia would have lost the war, and that's pretty obvious. With the mobilization, Russia's been able to withstand Ukrainian summer counteroffensive and to dig itself deep into the trenches and, to stand there. The mobilization has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, men and women. So many have lost their lives or became disabled. So many families have been affected. Mothers lost sons, wives lost husbands, and children lost fathers. On both sides. In Ukraine, in Russia, in both countries. The difference is Russia is the aggressor, Russia is invading, Russia is attacking, and Ukraine is defending itself, its land and its people. Let me update you on what's happening with the mobilization in Russia in mid-December of 2023. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS or lies here. Instead, truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions too, because I'm a human being after all. First things first, what I'm about to say, to present to you today is solely my opinion. Let's go. Let me give you a quick reminder of things that happened. Very brief, very short. First, Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022. Second, right at the beginning, it became obvious that Russia had made a huge mistake, as the might of the Russian army, Russian armed forces, turned out to be a fake. Number three, the Ukrainians started beating the crap out of Russians and pushing them back towards Russia, where they came from. Number four, during the course of summer of 2022, Russian troops frequently fled. First Kyiv, then Kharkov, then Kherson. Number five, in the fall of 2022, it became clear that on the battlefield, Russia was losing the war. Number six, to offset the losses and to beef up the armed forces, Vladimir Putin announced the mobilization of Russian men in September of 2022. In the next 6 weeks, 350,000 Russian men were mobilized. That's the official number given by the state. Some experts give different numbers. Up to 1 million men were mobilized. It's really hard to say what the truth is. I just know that every time Russian government says something, that becomes a lie. That's a lie. So that never fails. So I don't believe the number of 350. Let me remind you how Vladimir Putin was announcing the mobilization.
Считаю необходимым принять следующее решение. Оно в полной мере адекватно угрозам, с которыми
September 21st, 2022, a black day for the country, for Russia, for Ukraine, for everyone really,
для
for people.
обеспечения безопасности нашего народа и людей на освобожденных
Look at this
территориях.
guy.
Считаю
Look the way
необходимым
he's sitting.
поддержать
Look the way he's
предложение
talking.
Министерства обороны и Генерального штаба о проведении в
Did
Российской
he ever
Федерации
think of
частичной
one
мобилизации.
man fallen on the battlefield, of the tragedy, of pain that families go through? I mean, does he have emotions? Is he still a human
которые в
being?
настоящий момент состоят в запасе. И прежде всего те, кто проходил службу в рядах вооруженных сил, имеет определенные
Reading from the
военно-учетные
teleprompter, it's
специальности и
pretty clear.
соответствующий опыт. призванные на военную службу перед отправкой в части, в
Well, basically,
обязательном
he's just
порядке
telling the
будут проходить
Russians that
дополнительную военную
I
подготовку
am
с учетом
announcing the
опыта специальной
mobilization
военной
of
операции.
these men and these
Указ
men
о
and the
частичной
ones who already
мобилизации
served in the army,
подписан.
the ones who have
В соответствии с законодательством
only those
об этом
who have
официально
military
письмами
specialization,
будут сегодня
profession will
проинформированы
go,
Палата
and
Федерального
only
собрания,
certain age.
Совет
All turned out
Федерации
to be
и
lies.
Государственной
They
Думы.
just rake people
Мобилизационные
in.
мероприятия начнутся сегодня, с 21 сентября.
Yeah, starts today, 21st
Поручаю
of
главам
September.
регионов оказать все необходимое содействие работе военных комиссариатов. Особо подчеркну, что граждане России, призванные на военную службу по мобилизации, получат...
I think that's enough. A sad, sad day. Again, lives of millions of people were affected on that day. That was the beginning. The ones who were mobilized, the ones who served and came back, the ones who died, were killed, the ones who killed the Ukrainians while being mobilized, their families. This is just such a human tragedy. When I think about it, everything drops inside. There's so much pain. I start feeling the pain that people have gone through. Also, so many people have left Russia. I am one. So many people's lives turned forever into a different direction. Anyway, a very dark day in the history of our countries. Now a bit of mobilization that happened in 2022. I'll just quickly remind you. It happened quite some time ago. While mobilizing, Russian government made lots of mistakes. It made all the mistakes it could make. It didn't have proper laws in place. It didn't have tools of monitoring control over the mobilizees, and its work was not coordinated. There were many loopholes allowing men to dodge mobilization, and I know very well, I am one of them. I dodged the mobilization. I decided to leave Russia, most likely forever, not to take up arms, not to be sent to Ukraine, and definitely not to harm any Ukrainians. I am one of many, of millions who have left. The results of the mobilization were ambiguous. On one hand, cannon fodder was delivered to the front lines. And on the other hand, smart and patriotic, energetic Russians, real patriots, not Z-patriots, received the head start, received the preview of what's to come in Russia in the coming years, and millions fled Russia not to ever return. In November 2022, Russian government, Vladimir Putin, announced that the mobilization was over. At the same time, Vladimir Putin did not, when asked, he refused to sign any documents, any order. He signed an executive order beginning the mobilization, but he refused to sign any documents stopping the mobilization. So, on words, mobilization was stopped in November. In reality, no documents exist that say that it was stopped. In reality, it's going on. So the Russian people were lied again, and mobilization did not stop in November of 2022. Russian government, on the other hand, smartened up. It started a complete overhaul and modernization of its mobilization system. Among other things that they did, they changed the legislation, modernizing the laws. They created one decision-making center, one monitoring center, one controlling center, the control center, so to speak. They upgraded the system, everything from paper to cyber to digital, creating a unified, cross-linked super database that would easily identify and force Russian men into mobilization. And they criminalized refusal to get mobilized. So they did a turnkey job for Russians not to escape any further mobilization in the future. January 17th, 2023, about a year ago, was an important date as well. The Minister of Offense of Russian Federation, Sergei Shoigu, signed a decree expanding army. And to me, that was the second stage of the mobilization. That's what it is. So he decided, he made a decision to add another 350,000 servicemen to increase the army in the future. Okay. Now, what's been going on? Legislation was adopted in two stages. First stage was in April. Lots of laws were changed, amended. And the second stage was in August, amended even more. And I think the last law Vladimir Putin signed in August, in the beginning of August, 3rd of August. That was when the parliament adopted the new laws and amended existing ones. A unified cross-linked super database was created by April of this year. Vladimir Putin ordered the creation of such system in November. It seemed like they created a unified center, the control center, and one of the first decisions was to create unified database. Basically, it would bring all the information into one place: driver's licenses, leaving Russia, returning to Russia, the border control people, hospital information, universities. Everything is linked into one database, and this mobilization people know where the person is, what he's done, and so forth. So that allows to the state. This is very important. That allows the state to mobilize people covertly, in secret, without angering the public. You see, they made a huge mistake, because when they started this mobilization, it was out there in front of everyone's eyes. People were filming, sharing in internet, in Telegram, on YouTube, and anger was growing. Men were mishandled. There was force used against them, and there was chaos, okay? So they decided to take a different approach, and they actually succeeded. The state has been very actively mobilizing and recruiting inside Russia and in other countries too. Before I answer, I'd like to ask you something, a favor. If you are liking today's message, please help me spread it by making reposts on your social media accounts. That helps a lot. You can also consider becoming a sponsor of Inside Russia or a patron at Patreon. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or a tea, I wouldn't mind at all. Thank you so very much. The links are down below, and I appreciate it. Thank you. So, who do they recruit? Who they have been recruiting? First, they've been recruiting Russian citizens inside Russia. The state has relied on voluntarily sign-ups. There have been many Russians, unfortunately and sadly, many Russians who have signed up voluntarily. The reason is, one, money. Russian government is paying lots of money to the ones who signed up voluntarily. So you understand, over $2,000 American dollars per month. Most people who sign up, they had never seen such amounts of money, and they simply fall for the reward. That's the only time when they see this pile of cash. That's too much for them. I remind you, Russians are, on average, are poor. So second category of people, recruiting foreign nationals in foreign countries. There have been two big international scandals recently, in the recent weeks. the one in Cuba and one in Nepal. The Cuban and Nepalese authorities arrested a groups of recruiters in their countries who were working on behalf of Russian government, recruiting Cubans and Nepalese. Big scandal. Anyway, it is safe to suppose that Russian government is working in other countries as well. It's just they have not been caught there. This is really a shame. Third category of people, migrants. The migrants, people, foreign nationals who come to Russia for some time to work, to make money, to send money back to their families, and then once saving a certain amount would go back. So they come to work in Russia. On many occasions, they were either forced or more often tricked into signing up and be thrown to the front lines. Let me show you a couple scenes. Someone is filming secretly. There was a raid on a large mosque near Moscow. Basically, over 1,000 people. The mosque was surrounded by the police and by the mobilization people. And they came in, they started checking everyone's papers. They forced quite a few men into the buses. And they took them to the mobilization offices, filled out paperwork and sent them to the front lines right away. This is a covert video. This is what someone was filming, how the police raided the mosque. Okay, and I'll show you the bus. They packed everyone into buses, and this is how the buses looked like. The guy is basically on mobile telephone. He's telling what was happening to them. So they were raids. They're called taxi raids. A lot of men right now who drive cabs in Moscow, in other large cities, they're not Russian nationals. They're the migrants. They come to Russia to make a buck or two and to support their families. So police, along with mobilization office people, they would do the roadblocks and check every single cab. Would find a man with Russian citizenship, dual citizenship, sometimes the migrants have it, and would just take him out of the taxi cab and send him to mobilization center and the front lines. They've done that, and that's, I don't know how to say that, but that's what you get when the human rights are squished in your country. And you do nothing, you sit and watch them squishing in front of your eyes. Say, well, nothing will happen to me, why would I bother? And then something happens to you. They also raided large how do I say that? There are places where lots of migrants work, For example, large logistics centers. Again, people from Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, sometimes Kazakhstan come there to work. And there are thousands of people inside. And this is what they do sometimes. Well, they did it 3 or 4 times in the recent weeks. They simply surround this huge warehouse. This is Amazon, Russian equivalent of Amazon. And they check everyone's paper and they grab men right inside and pack them into the buses. And, they send them to the front lines. And so this is the third category of people. The migrants, the foreign nationals who happen to have Russian citizenship, then they are messed up in this case, that not the right word, not messed up. They are in trouble. And if they don't have Russian citizenship, policemen and mobilization people, they try to trick them into signing contracts. There have been numerous reports saying, oh, why don't you just go and serve as a chef, a cook? Not at the front lines, but, somewhere behind the lines. And then the person signs a contract, and then next thing he knows, he finds himself in trenches with a gun, things like that. And number 4, the fourth category of people, and I think that's the most numerous categories, the ones who have been mobilized. Mobilization has been going on. Vladimir Putin lied again by stating that the mobilization ended 6 weeks after it started. Russian men have been mobilized in the past 14 months. Moreover, they have tried to get their hands on everyone they can. Now they are even recruiting women. They're not mobilizing them, but recruiting. And the next step, well, check this out. This is how the process of mobilization looks like. They knock on the door of a man, check the, check his papers, and, basically they're serving him papers, saying that he has to be accounted for, and then he must show up to the mobilization center by such date, and he is giving him the summon. He's summoning him to the mobilization center. This guy is in trouble. This is how it's done. Oh, yeah. How do I know that the mobilization has been going on continuously for the past 14 months? Well, from real people who are here in Tashkent, they have lots of friends and families left in Russia. From my friends and family that are left in Russia, from the numerous news sources, and from some other sources that I cannot reveal, but I trust. Mobilized, that's all I hear. Every single week, there's a person shows up in the breakfast club, says, oh, the person I know, my cousin, first cousin, second cousin, his friend that was mobilized, my family member was mobilized. I hear from my family, that about their friends, because each one of us has extensive network of contacts, So mobilized, I've heard that so many times. I've been hearing it for the past year. And Putin said it would stop, it didn't stop. And he didn't mean it. Moreover, in the last 2 months, the mobilization that doesn't exist according to the state has intensified. But I stress once more, it's been going on covertly. You can't hide it completely, but it's not as visible. It's not out in the public in front of everyone's nose. It's not in your face as it used to be in September and October of 2022. Back then, it was very, very public. Now it's covert. It's behind the doors, closed doors, because they've transferred so much into cyber world, into the digital. They now have a law that they can issue you a summon. Not they don't have to give it to you in person, just like they did to that poor guy. They simply issue it and send it to you to your government account called Gosuslugi. And from there on, that's it. They put your name into this super database. And once you're there, basically your life is over because they suspend your driver's license. They don't let you open or close companies. Like you can't do business. You will be asked questions at your banks when you try to complete transactions. And most importantly, they do not let you out of Russia. Before, it was chaos 1 year ago. People were served повестkas, the summons, and they would immediately go to the airport and would leave Russia. And the passport control people, they wouldn't know that the summons was served. Now they know, because everything is done electronically. Moreover, starting yesterday, there's a new law in effect that once you are served an electronic summon, electronic paper doesn't matter. Once your name is on the mobilization list, national mobilization list, then your passport for foreign travel is suspended. It becomes invalid. So they have really done evil, efficient job by eliminating the loopholes. Now it's becoming very difficult to leave Russia if you get on the radar of the government. You know, they want to mobilize you. So they have been intensifying their work of mobilization. Although they're trying to do it covertly, it's really hard because it's not a needle, not a needle on a haystack, right? So you can't really hide it. There are family members who make, who outcry, you know. There is Telegram, there is internet, and people share information, but not as much as they used to. It's become much more covert, not 100% completely secret, but much more secret, much more covert, okay? So, but even from what we're hearing, the raids, the activities to mobilize Russians have intensified tremendously this fall. And it appears that the armed forces are desperate for people, for more cannon fodder. Although they're still trying to be out of public sight, like I said, and I stress, this is very important, you know. They're trying to do as smoothly as possible. They try to sugarcoat this process, but because the presidential elections are coming in March of 2024, still, they can't hide it completely. They can't smooth it out completely. There are currently a few things to consider. First, it's becoming increasingly difficult to dodge mobilization. Once you get on their radar, once they put your name on the list, they track you, they have laws to, you become, basically you break the law. Before, they could fine you, but they couldn't throw you into prison. Now, you become a criminal, a fugitive, and sooner or later it'll be caught. They force you to come by yourself because you don't have your driver's license, you don't have your bank accounts, you don't have your passport. You kind of have no choice, you know. You can go hide in the woods, and some people do that, but not too many. Or you can go to the mobilization center. They seize your passport, you know, I already explained that. So it's becoming increasingly difficult. I've only heard a few people who are doing it. They're basically hiding. Same thing as a fugitive, a criminal. Number two, another thing to consider is many people start realizing that they have been given a raw deal when mobilized by the state. The state lies. No rotation, no equipment, no warm clothing, no good food, no vacations, no meetings with families. More and more people realize that, and they get angry. I'm not sure what Russian men at the front lines can do at this point now. They get angry, all right, they can turn against their commanders, but that takes a lot of thinking. That's a big deal, But the women, their wives of the husbands who are mobilized and mothers of the sons, they can actually act, okay? I'll talk about it a bit later. So, number 3, very important to consider is that Vladimir Putin has made all service contracts timeless. Basically, when people were signing mobilization papers, and most importantly, they were signing voluntarily contract, they would sign for a certain period of time. And then Vladimir Putin came up and said, you know what? All the service contracts are valid through the end of the special military operation. So basically, they made them timeless. And people are going to serve for years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 years, 10 years. So I hope that the war does not continue for that long. But now Russian men who are on the front lines, they have a possibility. There's no rotation. There's no vacations. Just go there and serve until you die. So it's not what they were promised. And the anger is also growing. Number 4, and this is hugely important as well, a new movement is forming and rising. Mothers and wives. This is a very recent phenomenon. I made a stream about that. You can buy Russian men to trick them to go to fight to the front lines in Ukraine. But you can't buy mothers of sons. You cannot buy wives of the husbands, no matter what you offer them. And you can't crush them. Because once you use force, and by law, Russian government, siloviki, they have right to use violence against the wives of the mobilized. But once they start doing that, those men who are serving in Ukraine, armed, and some of them are well armed, they hear that their wives were arrested, beaten, perhaps raped, perhaps given prison term for simply standing up and demanding the justice for them, for their husbands. That might create questions inside those husbands' heads, They might think perhaps we are pointing our guns at the wrong direction. And Russian government understands that very much, and they're afraid of that. And that's why they're not touching the wives and the mothers of the ones that they stand up and starts venting their anger. They start protesting, okay? And the Russian government doesn't know what to do with them at this point, as far as I understand. And the women, the wives and mothers, they're becoming stronger and louder by the day. In the beginning of November, there were just a couple reports about just 2 groups protesting. Then I learned there's a network of groups, national network. Now, every day, we hear of women in some Russian region, province, or city stand up, protest, and they make themselves very, very loud. That is definitely something to consider. And I think that's one of the sparks of instability that starts growing in Russia. I suggest you watch very closely as well. And number 5, from what everyone understands, more people are desperately needed in the front lines, in the trenches. Should I say more cannon fodder needed in the trenches? And guess what's going to happen next? It's obvious, okay? They've been trying to mobilize. They've been making attempts, very active attempts, to mobilize men this past fall. And they're trying to not to make noise about it. Because the elections are coming. The presidential elections in March. And Vladimir Putin a few days ago announced that he's going to run for 6 more years. So they need to smooth things out as much as they can. But guess what happens after Vladimir Putin is elected? The masks will be off, thrown off. They won't need to stay nice. They won't need to hide in the shadows. They will strike Russian men at full force. I believe that not a covert mobilization is coming, not stage number 3, but a full, complete, open mobilization. Because after Vladimir Putin is elected for the 5th time, he'll have 6 more years. There won't be no games with Russian people, no sugarcoating will be needed further. And you watch, midsummer, perhaps early summer, things will happen with mobilization. The masks will be off. And remember, the Russian state and Vladimir Putin, they have no mercy whatsoever to Russian people, let alone the Ukrainians. Oh, big things are coming in Russia. Next time someone tells you, oh, there isn't mobilization in Russia, I don't know, give him the facts. You can laugh at his face. There has been mobilization going on. The facts are right there in the open, in the public. You just have to know where to look for them. That's all. That's going to be big after the elections again. Folks, this has been my message. Thank you so much for coming. It's fantastic to see everyone here. It's my honor and pleasure. I'd like to invite everyone to live stream chat. I will answer all the questions if you have any. And as usual, I'm asking you to please let me know, do you think I'm off in my analysis? I'm a human being after all, Or you think that I am spot on? That is very important to me. That's like a feedback that reinforces me going forward. So thank you so very much. And while I'm turning the chat on, I'm asking you again to like this message and make reposts on your social media accounts because that helps a lot. Thank you. Let me just turn the live stream chat on. While I'm doing it, I also suggest that you watch the video I made about food lines introduced in Russia again after 35-year-old break that I liked very much. Food lines are back to Russia with a bang. Eggs now. And that's just the early birds. More stuff to come. If you're here for the first time, please know that we have the best moderation team in the world. They are Lorna, Mama K, Bob S, Harry Potter, and Amir Fazat. Fantastic friends, great people, and the best moderators ever. So thank you for coming. Thank you for watching my back and front, so to speak. So thank you. This chat is a pleasant environment. Please keep it that way. And as long as you behave, and everyone behaves here for the most part, then the mods are the nicest people. They just, I have asked them to keep this community clean and to watch for trolls, things like that. And the usual suspects, fantastic to see everyone. Thank you again for coming. Let me know again what you think of today's message. And if you do that, please put it in caps, all caps, so I see your comment or question easier. Put inside Russia after @ sign, so it's highlighted in orange. That's even easier to see. So thank you so much. Dirk, howdy. Airborne Snail, Polar W, Frank in Texas, Jules Rames, Frank, Jess Terry, Karen, Ferrari Guy, Pamela J, Life, Scott, Roy Cousins, Benjamin, Baker Stock, Dave, Ken, Pinda the Peanut, Jeffrey S, Pentium, Keith, Faith Russert, Jess Terry, E. Austin, Lisa, Caesars, Chirper, Mr. Kaliskian, Jodes Rames, Paula W, Stefan, John, Dieter from Munich, Kermo, Vilen from Finland, Malti Ducky, Stephen II. Yes, I got your message yesterday. You're on the list about your grandpa. So everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Let me jump straight to the questions and to super chats. MacFon, thank you. I saw your support in another video that I made about Food Lions. Very emotional one. At least it was for me emotional to make. Thank you so much for sending a super thanks. And thanks for the super chat. Hello, Konstantin. Do you think Putin will allow the wives and mothers to organize against him? I won't believe that until more than 10,000 people gather together. Friend, this is a very difficult question for me to answer. I honestly do not know. This situation is out of control of the Russian government. They cannot, or they actually have very little influence on this bunch of good people, the wives and the mothers. They can control by two means, and they've been trying to do that. First of all, they can buy them out. I have heard there are secret orders from the Kremlin, from the Chief of Staff office to the governors. As soon as the mothers organize, even if into small groups, the government must pay close attention, must approach peacefully, and must try to answer all the problems that they're facing, okay? Ministry of Defense/Offense must get involved if a man needs a rotation, to provide rotation and to give them money, to flood them in money so they keep quiet. That's approach number one. Approach number two, to send inside a spy, a strike breaker, so to speak, an agent of influence who would make everyone fight inside a group, who would give them wrong direction, who would, turn them into the wrong direction. And Russian government's very good at that. I think KGB is in charge of stuff like that. So these are two tools that the government can use. Now, they cannot use violence. They would have. There's no question about that, but they can't because their husbands are serving. And by beating women of those who are serving the country, or that's what they're saying, oh, they're protecting Russia. And at the same time, their wives and mothers are beaten, thrown to jail, intimidated, threatened, okay? That's going to be in public, no, I'm pretty sure. That's not going to be a good example to anyone. And the men, before getting mobilized or signed up, they'll think twice. So if they do that to the wives of those who are already serving, what are they going to do to my wife, okay? And those who are serving might say, hey, why don't I just take a little break from here from Ukraine and go and pay a visit to the governor or to the ones who beat my wife up and threw her to prison, things like that. So I think that that is a very possible scenario, and that's why the power, that the authorities do not even think about using violence against those women. But if they don't use violence and they fail with money, then there's a chance that movement growing. And Russia is a large country. I mean, there are millions of people. And how many are serving right now? Hundreds of thousands. Most of them have mothers and wives. And, hundreds of thousands potentially. So think about that. Again, thank you very much for coming. Fantastic to see you today. And thanks for the question and support. Michael Silberg, thank you so much. Hello. How extensive and organized is the FSB? Certainly it must have contingency succession plans decided long ago in case figurehead dies, including use of doubles, and who will really take charge. Well, I think that first of all, if there are doubles, that's KGB is in charge of the doubles. Okay, they have organized doubles, they control doubles, and of course they have plan B, plan C, plan D, and probably plan E. They're very extensive and they're very organized. They are the organization that controls everything in Russia. Police, courts, army, everything is under them. So they are very extensive, very organized. It's them running the show. Dieter from Munich, guten Abend, danke schön. Thank you for your great video. Putin has more power and strength than many suspected. He was also thought to be ill. He has help from demons. First of all, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And good comments, not question. What can I say? Last year, 12 months ago, at this time, Putin was depressed. He seemed sick. He seemed becoming weaker. He didn't seem losing power. That started happening towards May, okay? But and it seemed like he was panicking at the end of the year. He didn't even want to make, it's called the address to people, when the direct line with people, when he answers people's questions from 4 to 6 hours. He just said, I'm not going to do that. He did not address the upper parliament of the upper house chamber of a parliament. And according to the constitution, he had to, okay? And it seems like he didn't care. He didn't know what to do. Now, he appears to be stronger, much more organized, and yes, he appears to be healthier. But you know what? Our life is so much more colorful and so much deeper than any of our imagination about our life. So anything can happen. I'm still waiting for Putin to be out of the office by the end of the year. Hey, it can happen. By the way, I'll make a video saying the mistakes I made when forecasting things in 2023 and the things that I was right on. Things that I were right on. Things I were wrong about and I was right about. I were right about. Oy. Anyway, thank you, Dieter. Thank you so much. Danke schön. Bakerstock, howdy. Keith from Hawaii, howdy. Leitmotiv, greetings from Bowie, Maryland. Hello, friend. Mr. Kaliskin is from Chicago, from the Windy City as usual. Looking for the comments in caps and highlighted in orange. Michael Martineau, howdy. Carson Larrymore, howdy, friend. In my humble opinion, Russia has at least another 1 million rural citizens to draw from before they need to draw from Moscow and St. Petersburg, which I'm sure Putin is trying to avoid. Perhaps not. Perhaps they've mobilized, they've raked through. Remember that kid Alex from Lesozavodsk? Far east. I helped him a little bit to get from that God-forsaken place to Tashkent, and then a wonderful family from Houston helped him to get to the United States. So he was telling me, when he came over to Tashkent, he was telling me what was happening in his city. Basically, in late September, I think 27th, 26th, his town was the dead end. There was nowhere to run. Taiga was around, surrounded by deep woods. Okay, and a caravan made of 20 large buses, accompanied by the police cars, entered the town. They blocked all roads out, one road out, and basically they started taking everyone they could find. They were raking through the city. And there were a few raids like that. The only men who survived those raids, who were out in taiga, hunting, doing their things, were the ones who saw and ran to taiga. Okay? Everyone else was mobilized. That's the witness. That's Alex. I think that happened in many villages and many small towns. Now, do they have anyone left there? I know my uncle, who owns a large farm in southern Russia, he complained that they don't have men to plant, grow food, plant food, and so forth. I mean, they've run into a shortage of hands. So, but we'll see. Carlson, thank you so much. Thank you. We'll see what happens. I think that there will be another mobilization, public one. Stage number 3, because there will be existential threat to them. It's going to be either we succeed or at least we deter the attacks of the Ukrainians at the front lines, or we just collapse and then we're dead. So they wouldn't care about image, sugarcoating anymore and stuff like that. They will be rough and tough. But then that's my take. We'll see what happens. KG1, thank you so much, friend. There's a report that Russia has lost 87% of troops it had prior to invasion and 2/3 its number of tanks. Current forces must have little training apart from resources. I have heard of numerous reports that people get thrown into buses, thrown into mobilization centers, and in 3-5 days they're in the front lines. That's how much training they receive. Whether it's true or not, I think in Russia they say, where is smoke, there's fire. So there's got to be some truth underneath. Then, as for Russia losing 87% of its troops, I simply cannot comment on that. I don't know. 2/3 of its number of tanks, again, I don't know. I'm very far from any military expertise. I have no clue. From what I know is that they've lost a lot. That you can say safely. They've lost perhaps in hundreds of thousands. The Jorgensen, thank you so much, or Jorgensen, thank you so much, from Denmark. Thank you. I appreciate it. No, not from Denmark. I'm sorry. Is it small flag? I can barely see. Is it from Denmark? Looks like a Norway flag. Very strange. Why is this Danish money then? Looks like Norway. Please let me know where you're from. My take is Norway. MacFun, thank you so much. Hello, Konstantin. Do you think the next year will be a similar situation as in February 1917? In my last stream yesterday, I said that yes. Perhaps this is where Russia is heading towards. There are two schools of, well, I can't really call them schools. There are two camps of different experts, military experts, economists, the political scientists, and so forth. Basically, these two camps are very opposite. One camp is those who think that Russia is doing okay. Russia is surviving the sanctions. Russian economy is not collapsing, or it's collapsing, but not hard enough. And Russian military is not defeated and won't be defeated. So basically they're saying that Russia will enter a period of a very long stand with Ukraine, and obviously the living standard of people will be low, but they won't be starving, they'll have enough food to eat, and that can last for a long time. Russia has resources for that. And the second camp, and I belong to the second camp, those who are saying, hey, look, economy is not doing well, okay? They're sugarcoating it now, for now, but even sugar-coated, it's kind of starts falling apart. Russian military also is in trouble. And Russian society actually will change. Look at the mothers and the wives of those who are on the front lines, okay? They are the first signs, the early birds, so to speak. And this is my opinion. I think that Russia will not be in this like resource saving mode, in this slow war mode, with Ukraine for years and years. I don't think so. I think that there will be changes. There will be eruption in Russia. It might happen in 2024. It might happen in 2025. Heck, might even happen in 26, but it'll happen. I believe that the society will change. Now, I don't know how that this eruption might come from. It will be sparked, okay? Wagner mutiny was one of such possible sparks, but it got put down very timely, very quickly, okay? But that was the first spark. And I think that there will be sparks like that. And at one point, a critical mass will be achieved, and whoever has control at the time will lose it. And then, boom, explosion. What happens after that, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure there are two things. It's not going to be pretty, and there will be blood. Everything else, it's really hard to say. If someone tells you what's going to happen in Russia in 2024, don't believe. Frank in Texas has just sponsored 10 people. Thank you so much, Frank. I much appreciated from me and from 10 people who are new sponsors. Friends, I'm trying to do more for the channel. It's really hard because these streams take so much time, and I try to step up making more videos, which is not an easy task. And Oля has helped me a lot. She's in charge of my shorts. She produces one short every day. And the next target is to be much more active and to actually give you some kind of a unique content for the sponsors and for patrons. Beyond what I've been doing every Saturday, the live streams for sponsors and for patrons only, that's gonna stay. I love that time, but I want to do something else. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out, but please bear with me. Thank you. And Frank, again, thank you so much. Frank is one of the people who's been with me inside Russia community, I don't know, since probably day number 1, day number 2. So thank you. Jesus Christ follower, thank you so very much for your support. God bless. Thank you for good you're doing and speaking the truth. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm doing my best. Thank you. Caesars, fantastic to see you. Czech Republic is in the house. A year ago, you said that Russia probably will not go hungry. Does it still apply? Yes, it does. It still applies. I don't know if you saw my video I released just a few hours ago. It's short, it's 7 minutes, But I was making it. It took me a day to produce that video, and you see, I started monitoring the situation with Food Lions, and then I switched to my experience, my memories, and that became so emotional. And I kind of, tried to share some of those emotions with you. And turns out a lot of Eastern Europeans, they had the same experience. I didn't know that you in Czech Republic, in GDR, DDR, in Hungary, I didn't know that you had Food Lions. I thought that's only Russia. But so it turns out that so many people, even Germans, my gosh, Germans, the Eastern Germans, they had problems with lions and things like that. So even when the USSR was at its worst, and that's the second part of the 80s, everything was literally falling apart, and the country fell apart. And this is what... All right, sorry, just give me a couple minutes more, and I'll be wrapping it up. Look, this is the feeling that I start having about Russia. It's kind of the same feeling as 1987, 1988, 1989. Things were clearly not going right in the country. It's so many small things everywhere. They kind of like are put together into a large picture. And this is what's happening in Russia. Back then, we know what happened. Very soon, the USSR fell apart. Will Russia fall apart now? We'll see. But even then, at the worst years, we never starved. We never went hungry. Yes, we did stay in line, but the bread was always there. If you were at the right time, you would come to a store, you would get a loaf of bread. And having a water and a loaf of bread, you will not die of starvation, okay? And we had potato, it was rotten most of the time, but you still could eat it. We had cabbage, we had sugar, we had little, we used to call them tickets, ticket for a pack of 2 packs of butter for one person a month, okay? So for the family of 3, we would get 200 grams. So that's 2 pounds, kilo, 200 grams. And we used to have macaroni. It was like spaghetti, Soviet made. It was not tasty, but it was enough to not be hungry. One time in my life, there was a big talk about Russia starving. That is from 1990 to 1991. That winter was really, really bad. That's the last winter before the USSR fell apart. The next winter, we had free economy, free market economy, and the stores were flooded with everything. Okay, but from 1990 to 91, there were talks, and everyone started stockpiling things, but we ended up not going hungry. So I think this... Right now, no, will not. Prices will be very high. I believe that the prices will skyrocket. People perhaps will start eating less, will get thinner, but they're not going to starve. The only people who could starve is those babushkas, old ones, who have no means of support except for the pensions. Putin might starve them to death, but we'll see, Oh, so I missed a few super chats, and that's it. Let me acknowledge, and we'll be off to pray. E. Austin, thank you so much. Joe's Rames, sponsor for 18 months. Thank you so much, friend. Time flies when you're having fun. Well, I can't say that I have fun on Saturdays. Hands down. Sometimes I have tons of fun, like Friday updates. I use lots of sarcasm. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Probably tomorrow is going to be a lot of sarcasm. Some different. Today, not necessarily I'm having fun, but it's interesting. I feel it's important. Then, time really flies when I do that. I get consumed by this thing, and I think you see it very, very well. I sit in front of a camera, but not really. I sit somewhere else in a room full of people, and we're having a discussion. That's how I imagine myself. DDR could not get tropical fruits. Yeah, at first I saw bananas when I was like 15 years old or something like that for the first time, not on the TV, Caesars, we had bread lines, but not we had lines, but not bread. Palvia Flex, agree with you. Jukes D, thank you so much. E. Austin, peace will only happen if Ukraine and Russia want it. The rest of the world is eating popcorn. I 100% want the SMO conflict to end. Thank you so much, friend. Me too. I want it to end, and this is priority number one. The blood must stop flowing, okay? That's peace. And then everything else can be negotiated and discussed. This is priority number one. And I invite everyone to pray along with me for the bloodshed to stop, to be over. Thank you very much for coming to today's stream. Fantastic to see everyone. And Daniel McInnes, thank you. I just saw the super chat. Thank you so much. And Mods, if you could let me know where Thea Jorgensen is from. I think from Norway. Or Denmark. Norway and Denmark. Anyway, so the flags are tiny. I can't make up. Okay, please, let's finish up this stream with a prayer. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for giving us this week. Please, thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Thank you for giving us food on our tables and roofs over our heads. Thank you for keeping our children safe and healthy, and please give us wisdom to keep the skies above their heads safe and peaceful, to raise them in a way that when they grow up and become adults, they will make this world a better place and will never, ever fight in any wars. Thank you. Dear Lord, please stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Do whatever you need to do, whatever is needed and possible. Reach out and touch the hearts of people who are in charge, who can make this decision. Fill their hearts with love, mercy, empathy. Give them forgiveness. Open their eyes so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer the prayers, soothe their souls, and make their wishes come true. Dear Lord, please help my country. Have your strongest angels assemble into an army that is led by Saint Michael in shining armor, and send that army, armed with long knives and sharp knives, send the army down to earth, so it comes down as an avalanche and gets rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, sends them to hell. Please have angels run in Russia and help good people run my country to make it peaceful, loving, loved, respecting, and respected. Please send safe travels to everyone who's traveling. Send help to everyone who's seeking for asylum. Send help to single mothers who are raising their children, struggling to make ends meet. Please help everyone who's helping Ukrainians and help Ukrainians who are suffering or are in danger from Russian attacks right now. Please send them safety. Dear Lord, please help those who are addicted, not feeling well, sick, hungry, jobless, homeless, betrayed, depressed, not feeling well about their lives, lonely. Please reach out and fill their hearts with love, so they all will feel your love. They feel your presence. They feel your care. They feel that you are with them, and they're not lonely anymore. Please reach out to every single one of them and help them. Provide help that they need. So these people will feel happy again. Thank you so very much. Thank you for letting us create this community, and thanks for letting us pray every single day. Please help everyone who's praying along right now or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Thank you. Dear Lord, I'd like to ask you to help a few people. They need help real bad. Susie Mailer lost her husband Meek. Please send her strength. Please send angels to help her to go through this very hard time. And please have her husband Meek rest in peace. Please help Steven's grandpa, Warren's peace, with addiction and PTSD. Olga and her son Alexei, Paul Wright and his community, we pray for them. Jason Carney, please send recovery, quick recovery. Dirk Misler, please send quick recovery. Blackhead, Avi, Sandra Dunn, Jill, please help Dive Crew Canada. Send angels to watch over him when he dives deep every time. Please help, send strength and help Alexei Navalny. Send your angels to help him in this very, very hard time. Kyle E.'s wife, Joseph Johnson, Heidi Homestead, CB, Rhonda McGillis, Morgan N., and Larson's daughter, Hannah. Electron's family, John, Kurt from Colorado, Deborah, Bogey Berger and his two sons, Dory. Please help her, heal her blood and body, and help her Uncle Jimmy, please. Jason Connor, Jay Spike, Janice Stevenson, Sam, Anna, Scan Family's members, Dave, Dawn, Summers 613's mother, Mike O'Neill, Anonymous, Vasilian Lubomirov, Julia Haney, Liz Dumbrell, Darla, George Ruberty, White Lightning, Stefan from Sweden, Wayne, who is fighting 2 cancers. He really needs your help. He needs to make a right decision. Please send your angels to help give them strength and to help him to get through this very hard time. Please, his loved ones are praying. Please send strength to them as well, and have him recovered. Thank you. Please help David Porter, his family, and everyone from Chernovtsi, Ukraine. Life, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, Terry Carter, John Lee McMahon, Bonnie, Svetlana, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Jake, Michael, Natasha, Yelena, Randolph, Lisa, Grace Philosophy, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church, Karen, Liz, and Lori Miles' husband. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you for coming. My honor and my pleasure. Please come back tomorrow. There will be an international news update, world's news update as seen from Russia. Another one. I will try to make it interesting. Thank you. And I would like to say that you are absolutely awesome and you rock. Usual suspects, the ones who are just here for the first time, and the moderators, of course, the kings and queens. Thank you. Before I sign off, I'd like to ask you to do the usual, to say along with me. Just repeat after me, as loud as you can. Carthago delenda est.